Hi, my name is Janet Del Castillo, and I lived a great deal of my youth in San Francisco. So I'd like to share with you some of the wonderful experiences that I had while I was there. The first house that we lived in was 503 Cole Street. That was on the corner of Cole and Page. The next street up was Haight Street, and that's where the Haight Theater was. So every Saturday afternoon we could see two feature movies in the theater, and in between they do something like have a magic act or maybe call a number to make some money. So it was very exciting for us as kids. It was 25 cents to get in, and we had 5 cents to buy some kind of candy. I usually bought jujubes because you could suck on them and they took forever. So that was our special day. Now the house we lived in was built in 1849, and it's a wooden 3-story Victorian, and had all of the beautiful attributes that those houses were built with at that time. It had gingerbread, it had speaking tubes throughout the house, beautiful staircase, various fireplaces, and most of all, stained glass window in the front. So one of the first things my parents did, this was the 50s, is they took out this beautiful stained glass window, which made the house a little bit gloomy, but it was a beautiful piece of art. They took it out and they put in that great big clear picture window. That was the style in those days. And of course, it really gave a lot of sunlight into the house. Inside the house, it was wooden, and all throughout it, it had gas lines, because in those days when it was first built, there was gas. So the lines were still in the house and on the fixtures. My mother always worried about fires. So she had all of us children live on the bottom floor, the street floor of the house. And there was one little bathroom there, which was good. And upstairs on the main floor, there was one bathroom. And on the top floor, there was the main bathroom that everybody could use. Well, as children, going up the stairs to use that bathroom was an adventure. The toilet itself was one of those old-fashioned ones that had the big box up on the top, and then you had the chain pull, and then the water would come gushing down. As a child, that used to really frighten me. Well, this bathroom was right next to the front bedroom. There were 4 bedrooms upstairs, and my mother rented out those 4 bedrooms. So an old lady we rented to, her name was Mrs. Kinney. She was the daughter of a sea captain, and this sea captain was one of the first to open up the route between China and San Francisco. And so he'd bring her back treasures all the time, and he had a special friendship apparently with the Emperor of China. So when he'd go over there, he would be given just very special gifts. One of them was a chess set. Apparently there were only 7 of these chess sets made in the world at that time. It was an ebony box, and it had like gold inlay in it, and was very large. It was at least like 1 foot by 2 foot, and when you opened it up, it was 4 feet by 2 feet, with beautiful mother of pearl squares, beautiful ivory chess pieces. So Mother gave me a few of the chess pieces, and I want to share them with you. This is one of them. This is a carved, what would this be? The horse, the caballo. And this ball here has 8 balls inside. They're all carved by hand, and this is indeed ivory. But remember, this is from like 1850 or 1860. The whole set was all with different beautifully carved chess pieces. And so this is one, and it was dyed red. And then I have this was a pawn, and I brought this one because this one is white. Now, the set was magnificent, and as children, we didn't, of course, realize the value of what we were playing with here. But again, there are balls carved within balls in this ivory, and it's exquisite, exquisite work. So Mrs. Kinney had many treasures, and she was very old, and she was alone in the world. She had no children. Well, there was an old lady, and I swear to God, she was dressed like a witch. She always wore a black cape and had a black hat, and we were convinced she was a witch. She would come and visit her And apparently, unbeknownst to us, each time she came, she would steal some of the goodies that Mrs. Kidney had, because not only did she have the chess set from the Emperor of China, she had many other artifacts from all over the world from her father. There was a beautiful prayer book that we cherish to this day. There were many photo albums, but there were also jewels and many diamonds and diamond rings. Well, she was very old at the time. She was about 80 years old. And so we would go up, and my big treat in those days was we'd go visit her, and she'd buy potato chips. And as kids, potato chips were something special. This is 1955, 56, I guess. So she'd crush up the potato chips, and what she didn't eat, she'd give us the rest of the bag, and we'd go up there and we'd eat all her potato chips. So that was really fun. Well, I have to tell you, one day she passed away, and it was very sad. But it was in the room right next to the bathroom that we would use. And so we were a little bit spooked by the fact that she lived in the room next to us and had died there in the house. My mother, of course, arranged for a funeral, and we did a beautiful job for her, so that was very nice. But she left my mother everything that she had, which included this beautiful chess set, and it included jewels and just very special artifacts. Well, now we were sort of afraid because that bedroom was the room of death. So don't you know, my mother goes and rents it again, and this time she rents it to a man named Mr. Fink. And Mr. Fink was pretty elderly, and do you know, Mr. Fink died. So now we as children had a real problem going upstairs into that bathroom because it was right next to the room of death. Now, there was another renter up there, and he had a glass eye. So he would, I guess in the morning, the bathroom was in one stall, the toilet was in one stall, and then the tub and the sink were in the other side of the wall. Well, he would go in and he'd brush his teeth or do whatever he did, and when we kids would go up there, sometimes there would be a glass eye sitting there on the sink staring at us. That was another thing to really freak us out. So as children, we had a really very interesting time in that house on 503 Cole Street.